Howdy, howdy, Chris here. We're back in the garage today, and today we're working on the Chevy Z71. Today I'm going to share with you how we're going to repair, prep, and paint this bumper on this Z71. Let's dig in and get started. So now what we got to do is we're going to strip this down, basically remove all the trim on it. And I'm going to share with you how we pound this dent out and straighten it. Really easy job. You can definitely do this at home. And then we'll go through and paint this entire bumper cover. And I'll walk you through the entire step-by-step process of how to paint this. Okay, so Darius has got this bumper stripped down. We got all the components off of it. This is the dent we're going to take out here. So what I'm going to do is flip this over. I'm going to put a dolly on the back side of it, or on the front side of it, and bang it out best we can. So I'm just going to place this on the back side. Kind of hold. Let's flip it over and see. That's not too bad. We got to go a little bit more. We do have a little bit of a high spot right here, but we'll get that out first. All right, now we're going to skim coat it with filler. So we'll grab some 80 grit on an orbital sander and we'll machine sand this area right here. Now, we don't have to strip the paint off this bumper. The rest of the paint's in great shape. All we have to do is repair this area, primer it, put color on this area and blend it out, and then we'll clear this entire bumper cover. Okay, so if you're repairing a part, I get a lot of questions, do I need to strip the old paint off? Not if it's in good condition. If it's in good condition, all you have to do is sand it with 600 and you can blend the color and clear the rest of the panel. We'll need to take it about to here to here. We don't want to get 80 grit scratches too far this or this way. That's good. This is just some alcohol. See, the dent starts about here and then it ends about here, but we're going to have to blend the filler in over this edge. So let's go to like here and then like here. All right. So now that's clean, we're ready for some filler. So we're going to mix up some upol lightweight gold and we'll skim coat this. We'll block sand it and I'll show you how we do that. Okay, so this is the filler we're going to use here. This is a upol lightweight gold. I really like this filler. It's reasonably priced and it works out really well. It sands very easy. I've used a lot of different fillers, 3M products. You know, they're good, but some of them are quite pricey. And this stuff, very reasonably priced. I like it actually better than Z-Grip. Some of these fillers, they separate. This one is designed not to separate. You see a little bit of resin on the top there. I believe that's it now. Yeah, knead it up so it's all mixed up. And we're going to do a line from the center to the edge. So this is all clean. Darius is going to mix this up. He's going to fold it in until it's all one uniform color. We're going to lay filler in from here to here. What he wants to do is get a little bit on a spreader, about like that. Now we're going to fill the lowest area first. Just put it over top of that. Just put it all on there, yeah. Now a little bit more on there. There and over here, just a little bit. Now get some more on there and spread it from here to there. Or whichever direction. There you go. That's good. Now get some more. So the first coat we want to press in. Now he's gonna ease up on the pressure a little bit and just let it kind of smooth it out. Now you got too much here, so we're gonna pull that down a little bit. There we go. Now clean up the edges, and I think that'll be good. I think that'll be enough filler to get done what we need to. And it's a pretty good spread. All right. We'll clean up our spreader, let this dry, and then we'll block sand it out. If we need a little skim coated glaze, we might put it on there, but we'll see how this blocks out. Okay, so the body filler is dry. Darius has went ahead and put some guide coat over it. Now he's going to block it with some 80 grit sandpaper. We're going to hit it with 80 first to knock it down. We'll see if there's any high or low areas that we need to correct. See how he's going in an X pattern, kind of a crosshatch pattern. That's what you want to do when you're blocking body filler. You can see where the low area is, where the black is. So this is how the guide coat's showing us where that low area is. So now he's going to continue to block until he breaks through into bare metal somewhere, or we get that guide coat out. If he breaks through here or somewhere and leaves that's a high area, then we're going to need to reevaluate that. We'll either need to knock down that high spot or put a little bit more filler in the low area. Okay, so now he's breaking through here, and it actually feels pretty straight. It is still a little bit low here. We'll put a thin coat of filler over it. It just needs to be thin. So we just need to fill these little low areas, but we're going to put it across the whole thing so we can block it down evenly. Clean it with a little isopropyl alcohol. Yeah, now you want to leave it a little bit heavy in the center there since we know we got a low spot there, right? Mm-hmm. So that's all done with pressure and the angle of your spreader. That should be the final coat. Block that out. We'll block it with some 80. We'll hit it with some 180, and then we'll mix up some primer. Okay, so this is dried. We're going to block it again. Darius is going to use some 80 grit. All right, let's take a look at it. Okay, looks good. It's all blocking out. Okay, so we switched over to a smaller block and some 180 grit sandpaper. The reason we switched to a smaller block is because right here, this is level. So we don't want to block this anymore. We want to kind of block into that and level this out into this. Okay, start rolling over this edge and rounding those edges. So now he's using the sandpaper to round those edges over there evenly. We want to refine these scratches with 320 before we apply some primer. I like to refine them to 320. Sometimes with 180 grit scratches, you can get some shrink back into those scratches and they can show up in your finished product. After the sun beats on it for a while and all those substrates start to shrink, you can get some areas where you're going to see those scratches. Yeah, this all feels really nice. So with this, all we're doing is kind of refining these scratches. All right, let's get some 600 grit sandpaper. We'll sand just this area around it, and then we'll mask this off for some primer. So if we have any minor imperfections after we primer it, all these little things look like air pockets, but they're not. They're all actually filled. But once we prime it, if we have any areas that we need to fill, we'll get a little bit of glaze and fill those areas over the primer. We'll get it cleaned up with some isopropyl alcohol. You could use isopropyl alcohol, wax and grease remover, and remove all those contaminants. Now he's going to sand around it with 600 just in case we get past this with our primer. We want our overspray to land in a sanded surface. If you spray this with alcohol, you can use this, look down it, see if it's straight, see if you have any waves or any low spots. I don't know if you can really tell on camera, but you use the light. That's a good way to check it. So this primer, upol 2253, mixes up 4:1:2 for sealer, 4:1 for high build primer, and 4:1 for primer surfacer. So we're going to do 4:1:1. So we find the 4:1:1 mixing ratio right there. We'll put 4 parts primer in, 1 part activator, and 1 part reducer. Now you want to stir that up real well because that primer is really thick. You want it all to be a consistent viscosity. We'll use our R500 with a 1.7 tip. We'll use that for our primer. Don't sleep on these guns, guys. These guns are very inexpensive and they spray base and clear coat really well. We use the 1.7 tip for our primer. We'll set this, we'll narrow the fan pattern down because we got such a small area. We'll set our fluid volume at 2 turns out from closed, and we'll run our air pressure probably around 14 PSI. I'm just going to do a piece of soft edge tape. Let me show you how we do that. They make machines for this, but here's how I do it. I'll just take, and I've got a fan blowing, I'll just take it here. I'm going to fold the top part like in half, and then I just run my finger down it. Actually, most of the time I do a little better than this, but they do make a tool that does this really well. I've never picked one up, but I might leave a link in the description. I really do want to get one. But anyway, what that does is that creates an adhesive edge and then a non-adhesive edge. So when we lay this down here on this little ridge, it won't create a hard line of primer, and that's the goal. You don't want a hard line of primer. We're just going to loop it here. So what I do is I'll tape it down back here, and then I'll just fold this over. Tape it down back here. We'll just fold this over. We won't push it down here. We'll just let stuff flow underneath there, okay? You don't have to blast it on there, guys. Just, we got a nice narrow fan pattern. So we'll let that flash off for about 10 minutes, and then we'll put a second coat on. We want a couple coats on. We're going to let this dry. We'll probably let it dry overnight, and we'll be block sanding it in the morning. Harrison's going to grab a block with 320 grit sandpaper on it, probably that medium-sized block, and some guide coat. So as far as the preparation, you know what we're going to do to take care of this primer. 320 grit, 600 to remove those 320 grit scratches or refine those before we seal it. But the rest of this bumper is in good shape. The paint is in perfect condition, so we're going to clean it, and then we're going to sand this with 600 grit sandpaper. We're probably going to use also a foam scuff pad to get all these tight body lines and get those all sanded real well. The goal of the 600 is to knock the shine off so we create good adhesion for our clear coat. Because remember, we're just putting color here, we're blending it out, and then we're going to clear the rest of this bumper only. Now we're not going to want to take off all the primer, we just want to block this relatively smooth, and then we're going to switch over to 600. See how this is smoothing out? All the guide coat's going away, but right here you can see the texture in the primer. Once all that texture is removed, we're going to switch over to 600. Okay, so Darius has got the orbital sander with the interface pad, foam pad. That's going to move with the contours of this panel. You go ahead and do the primer first, and then we'll go over the rest of the bumper. Okay, Darius is wiping this down with some isopropyl alcohol. We'll get it nice and clean. And then we're going to tack rag it off. A tack cloth. This is just a sticky cloth that's going to pick up any dust that may have landed on the panel. And then we've mixed up some sealer. Now the sealer we're using is the upol sealer. I'm going to use the Inokraft Drizzle D1. This is a low volume, low pressure paint gun. It consumes less air than a conventional gun, so it produces less overspray, and it's going to save you in materials. Medium to wet coat over the primered area, and then we'll go into the base coat. Now the sealer mixes up 4 parts primer, 1 part activator, and 2 parts reducer. So you can use this high build primer as a sealer if you mix it that way. 18. That's it. Okay, we'll let that flash off. So the color looks pretty decent. We're going to blend it out a little bit, put one more coat on. It's about covered right now, but we'll put one more coat of base on. We'll let it flash off for 10 minutes, and then we'll start to apply our clear coat. Now, I'm going to put one coat over there. Now for the blend, I'm going to move back just a few inches and we'll dust it on. Pull back a little bit. Now we'll let it flash off and we'll put some clear coat on it. We're going to set the air pressure 25 psi. Yeah. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Got it all put together. There we go. Dent's all fixed. Everything looks good. And there you go, another very simple repair that anyone can do at home. Just follow the steps and you will have tremendous success. Listen, I appreciate each and every one of you watching. Be sure to comment, like, and share. And if you want to learn more about paint and body repair, check out this video now. And we'll see you next time on Garage Noise.